all of it
Oh, okay. How far
because
did you get in that shit show?
I've seen a couple minutes
Okay.
because Nick Fuentes has a horrible voice to listen to,
He really does.
and his voice is one of the things that Jim should have hinted at as to a reason why people think he's a homosexual.
I mean that and the Cat Boys,
Yeah,
I would say, is the main thing. How far did you actually get to? Did you get to the point where Nick's just yelling and Jim's laughing at him?
I didn't get to that point. No.
Oh, okay.
So how did that segue happen?
Oh, it happens so many times. I don't remember the first one, but the best one was Jim essentially said, like false DMCA's are illegal.
Hmm.
And Nick was like, yeah,
Depends on what you mean by illegal, but yes,
like just doing it just to do it without any action, without a proper
that's
claim to the
fraudulent
DM.
behavior.
Yeah. And Nick was like, "Oh well, laws are gay, criminals or committing crimes are based," and that it was something.
I like how he tried to say, "Aren't you friends with the owner of Kiwi Farms?" He's like, "No,
But don't they like not really like each other?
no, it's not that. Jim's not friends with internet people.
Well,
He's only
yeah,
friends with people he knows."
which is I mean, I get it, but I thought him and Josh had some sort of, not necessarily falling out, but like they never really liked each other.
I mean, Kiwi Farms is horrible.
Fair. But yeah, you should watch the whole thing. It was it was quite entertaining. Did you? I'm assuming you were around and watched the IBS Apocalypse stream.
I didn't watch the IBS Apocalypse stream now.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, it was kind of like that, but with only two people for most of it, and one of them being extremely gay. Best way I can describe it. Yeah, it was mostly Nick like repeating the same kind of shit over and over, and then Jim mockingly repeating the shit he was repeating over and over and laughing at him for being retarded. It was great.
I mean, Fuentes is low energy. Oh shoot! I didn't realize we've been live talking about this.
I said we were going live while we talk about this.
Ah, shoot.
Well, welcome everybody to the Churchless of Failure podcast. He might join us later. We'll see. But
Right now, we need to kill some time to see if Ayrton gets on.
I am on. I'm right here.
No, I mean, Rune. Excuse me.
How dare you?
I had a little short circuit in my brain. That happens with names
well,
sometimes.
that's because you watched that Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Which, talk about a segue, right? Come on, I'm getting good at this.
I mean, you did do a good segue. But
So I want to know about this movie because I'm morbidly curious about it because Nick Cage is my favorite actor of all time.
Well, let's see though if I can find out how soon Rune gets here.
He says he's going to war with a Karen, so it might be a couple minutes.
I mean, he's dealing with his mom having nicotine withdrawals, so
yeah, so it might be a couple minutes.
So let me just explain the movie. The movie is Nicolas Cage, starring as Nicolas Cage, a formerly high-end celebrity Hollywood actor who's done a lot of marginal Hollywood work, who's got a lot of debts, who's estranged from his family because he works so much, and he's at the edge of quitting Hollywood.
All right. Is this a biopic?
No, no.
Okay.
So Nicolas Cage then takes a gig to go to a birthday party for a olive merchant. I'm going to air quote that. And it's in Catalonia, which means that in the universe this movie happened in, Spain ceased to exist as a country. So I'm really right now trying to say, so wait.
All
How
right.
how did this happen?
So Catalonia succeeded in
Secede from Spain.
succeeded in its secession movement.
Yeah,
Is the sentence I'm attempting to get out.
yeah.
Okay.
And turns out that the president of Catalonia's daughter got kidnapped by some dudes in, black clothes and stuff. And the CIA thinks that this olive merchant, played by Pedro Pascal, is the head of a weapon smuggling empire.
Now, why did you say olive merchant in quote in air quotes?
Because that's like the front for the business.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
Thus air quoting it. Now this olive merchant is the biggest Nicolas Cage fan. Right? So he has a script for a movie that he wants Nicolas Cage to be in so that Nicolas Cage can, make his movie. Well, the CIA gets Nicolas Cage and they say, hey, this guy's like a huge weapon smuggler, smuggles weapons all over the world. He's a bad guy. We need your help to stop him. So Nicolas Cage breaks into a security room. There's a good bit of slapstick comedy about all that. But they're like, Nick, you have to go in deeper. Right? So Nicolas Cage and this guy, instead of him making the movie this guy wrote, he's like, no. We need to like bond and bro out a little bit and make a script. Make our own script for a movie.
All right.
Shenanigans ensue. And it turns out Pedro Pascal's character, is not the actual villain of the piece. And he and Nicolas Cage have to go on a race against time, save kidnapped people. In the process of that, Nicolas Cage repairs his relationship with his ex-wife and his daughter, and fixes his career. And they tack on a movie within a movie at the end of the movie as a part of how they tie up the whole ending together. It was actually clever.
Okay, so I need to know, is there a Wicker Man reference? Because that's my favorite Nicolas Cage movie. Okay.
Yes, there's a Wicker Man reference. And the thing about this movie is it's meta, not just about, making fun with Nicolas Cage about his career. It's meta in the sense that the movie is all the genres of movies that Nicolas Cage has done combined together.
Which is like every genre?
Yes.
Okay. I've been, like I said, I've been morbidly curious to actually watch this because Nicolas Cage is great.
And Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal have a great time in all the scenes that they're together, which is most of the movie.
Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, I'm actually glad to hear that because whether you like The Mandalorian or not, Pedro Pascal makes that role work. And the very next film he was in was Wonder Woman 87, which was like
84.
Or 84.
And he was actually good in 84.
No, I'm sure he was, but being attached to that movie is not so good.
Well, the problem was I didn't see the other 1,983 Wonder Women leading up to it.
Right.
So I was a bit lost trying to watch it.
But
his Maxwell Lord was good-ish. The problem was that the script didn't really give Maxwell Lord anything to work with.
Well, because as far as I can tell, and this is a segue I don't really want to get onto, that film
too bad, motherfucker, we're getting onto it.
That film was more busy in trying to be glib and, as the critical drinker puts it, the message, than actually telling a good film, because Maxwell Lord is a character from comics, is an
Mhm.
intimidating monster.
Mhm.
And
And Maxwell Lord in that movie became a sentient monkey's paw.
yeah.
And they didn't really play out what that means. They didn't do it well.
But no, what I think we need to talk about, because I find it infinitely more entertaining, is I want to tell you guys how I just destroyed a Karen, and now I'm sharing it on the internet because I want the world to know.
I was actually going to ask you about that. We thought it was your mother's nicotine withdrawal, but apparently not.
No.
Okay.
So, I have not had a chance to go to the grocery store yet. I probably won't until Monday, when we will send a caregiver to get things that we need. So my mom can eat whatever, but I can't just feed her cottage cheese and pears, 3 times a day, every day.
I mean, if she's on a diabetic diet, that would probably be bad.
I mean, she's not, and those things seem to be okay in small amounts. So a meal of fruit and cottage cheese, good, but 3 meals, bad. And I commented offhand. I said, I'm not actually planning to order food, but if I do, I wouldn't mind a hot dog from Sonic. And Mom was like, "Ooh, hot dog from Sonic," because we tried them once and found out they're not half bad.
Yeah, they're
Right?
pretty good.
So we use DoorDash because Uber Eats and the other delivery service I think of, they all want to use text to verify my phone, and I don't text. I don't have text service because I'm a caveman. I'm slow to adopt. So here we are. We got DoorDash, and in my DoorDash it says, give your special instructions. So I give very specific instructions of how to get here. I try to call early so that people who are driving around have daylight and can naturally see where they're going. Okay? I consistently have problems with DoorDashers. All right? But none like Tori. Yes, Tori, your name is known to the internet. Torrie. We're telling everyone, Tori in Lacey, Washington. We know you.
I mean, the tens of people who will watch this video will know who that is.
Right. And their disdain will never die.
Is it
is now
Tori or Torry?
It's Torrie.
Oh, geez, that's even worse.
Yeah.
All right.
So here's the thing. She goes, she gets the food, she delivers other things on the way. That's all well and good. Okay. She goes past the turn, down the freeway, turns into an entirely different park that's not it, gets lost in a roundabout, comes back up the street, comes onto the crossroad, passes the turn, is now roaming around to the west of where I live, drives back, passes the turn again, takes a right, is now across the street, up the block.
This is what you use the phone call button on your app.
Oh, we'll get to that. Comes back around, finally enters my park, takes the first right, which is a dead end. Comes back out, comes down, takes the second right, roaming around the back of the park. Turns back around, tries to leave. All right?
Oh, geez.
How do I know this? Because I sit like a vulture on the GPS and watch them go. I called her 3 times before she picked up. And let me tell you, I love it when my dashers tell me that they didn't get my call, or that they didn't receive it, or that they just didn't hear it because I live in some kind of dead zone, because I know that's bullshit. Right? So I'm like, look, follow the instructions. You want me to read this paragraph long instruction? Yeah, that's your job. Well, I can't do that and drive. It's like, that's your job. Right? And literally, she's getting combative with me about expecting her to do her fucking job.
Well, guess who didn't get a tip?
Oh, it's better than that. I'm like, hey, look, who's the customer here? Okay, who is in the correct? Because the answer is me, right? And she's like, yeah, maybe.
I don't know, Rune. I work in retail. The customer is usually an idiot.
Right, but that's just it, is that I'm not an idiot.
But I mean,
So-
Ayrton, don't you work in a bong store
It's a smoke shop, all right? It's
where you sell glass water pipes used
we
for
do.
quote unquote tobacco?
Well, it's legal here, so no, they're for marijuana.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
We sell crack pipes too.
Here's the thing. You guys have seen pictures of my mother, my
Yes.
beloved smother. Okay? And I've told you guys, everybody here knows about me being a disabled person and having cerebral palsy. Right? So what does Tori say on the phone? Well, maybe I don't feel safe. I beg your pardon? Yeah, maybe I don't feel safe, and maybe I'll tell people that I feel threatened. Oh, you feel threatened, do you? Okay. So we have it back and forth. I hang up on her. I come into the office. I'm already on complaint. I'm already in complaint department when she arrives. I come out to the porch to get my food. She doesn't come up to the porch. She's talking to whoever she's talking to. She leaves my food in front of me on the grass in the front yard and drives away. So I collected the food. I gave it to my mom. My mom has had food. She is now hopped up on tramadol and getting some rest. At some point, probably in the next 20 minutes to a half hour, I'm going to have to go step aside from the thing we're doing here to go help her out with a couple of things, but I'll try to be back in a timely fashion. I got on with complaint department, and I said, here's my problem. And they said, well, would you like a $10 refund, or would you like credit? And I said, I'll take the $10 refund in 3 days. And they said, okay. And then I got on live with an agent. And I said, I don't want more compensation. I want to complain. You need to know about this person who did these things in this way. And they're like, oh, well, we take that shit serious. I'm like, I'm sure you do. And they're like, well, would you like us to phone you or call you in the next 24 hours? And I'm like, you can call me at any time by this number. I'm by my phone 24 hours a day. You can email me here. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll get back to you in about 24 hours. I'm like, cool. I'm specifically concerned about your dashers weaponizing their own internal protections to attack customers. That's a problem.
Especially customers who are handicapped.
Yeah, that's the part I love. Is that I, a handicapped person, am a danger to this fat broad.
So this is my problem with places like DoorDash and.
Oh, you mean besides they don't pay their people for shit? You mean besides that?
I don't give a shit about that. They're doing it voluntarily. You know, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care what they pay. No, the problem is when I was much younger, I delivered pizzas for a while before. Yeah. I mean, smartphones were a thing, but I didn't have one because I'm a cheap ass. And then I drove trucks for several years before I got into the tobacco industry without a GPS.
Right.
Motherfuckers need to learn how to look at a fucking map and go like, that's where the house is. Well, that's how I get there.
Well, that's the fun. Okay, so here's the thing, because I have had this problem before. People will be like, well, I'm not from here. I don't know my way around. My first question is, what are you doing taking this job? If you can't drive around good, right? The second thing is that they use Google Maps.
Wait. I'm not from around here.
Yeah, I
regularly had to drive. So I drove for a plumbing supply company, and so we had to deliver apartment complexes, high rises, whatever. Mm-hmm. I regularly had to drive to Columbus, Ohio, from Pontiac, Michigan, which is like 4.5 hours without a GPS.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean not from around here, you fuckers?
We're not even up to the good part yet. People are going to learn where I live tonight. Okay.
Should I mute you?
No. No, I don't care. If somebody wants
Okay.
to show up and start some shit with me, it's like, okay, cool. No. Here's the thing of it. Okay, so one, people are like, I don't know my way around here. The question is, what are you doing driving? Second of all, they use Google Maps. Google Maps was until recently wrong. It kept trying to send people to number 37 when I live at 47 because it couldn't find it. But now they have it. They have my pin. Okay, so Google knows where I live now. Okay, and again, I called it daylight. Okay, I called it like 5 o'clock. It took an hour to deliver. It's still sunshiny, springtime, early summer out there. You can find your way. Okay,
Right.
it's not like when it's dark out here and I'm like, yeah, sure, I can make lots of forgivenesses because it's Murder Alley outside my house. No. Here's the problem. The special instructions boil down like this. You come south down the highway. You turn right onto 37th Avenue. You take the third left. Okay? You come all the way down to the T section. You turn left. It is a loop. And I am on the left. Number 47 with the wheelchair ramp. That's how hard
Joe?
it is to find my place.
Joe, I think I hear your mother in the background.
I'm absolutely sure you hear my mother whining away on Tramadol in the background, and I will go deal with that in a second.
I don't
But it's
know.
wrong.
I don't know, Joe. Those instructions sound super complicated.
Is it super complicated to
Oh,
go south, take a right, take a left, take a left?
And
You
take
know what we
another
need?
left.
You know what we need to do, Joe? Is we need to switch up the GoFundMe to get a inflatable arm waving man to put in your front yard.
No, what we do is we get one of those like ridiculously high-powered flashlights for you, so you just turn it on outside on your porch
right.
to say follow
She's
the
not-
light.
She's not gonna stop, so I'm gonna go deal with that, and I'll be back. You guys have fun.
All right.
And this is what professionals do and how professionals handle
Hell yeah.
these sorts of situations.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
But yeah, Larry, you kind of know the area where I'm at. You know what it's
Yeah.
like driving around between Pontiac and Detroit, right?
I mean, do you want to have the hubcap stolen off your tires while you're driving?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's basically Telegraph and Woodward. Those are your main roads if you want to avoid 75, because 75 is always backed up and always under construction, no matter the time of the year and no matter if they just did construction 6 fucking months ago. Because all the pot and all the fucking lottery money goes to the roads, yet we have the worst fucking roads in the entire goddamn nation, and they can't
Wait.
and they can't
Hold
save
up.
traffic lights to save their goddamn life.
Hold up. You believe they actually give that money to the roads?
Well, they say they do.
Oh no.
Oh wait, no, lottery goes to the schools. My bad.
No, but
because
it also
because Detroit schools are doing so fucking well.
hold up. It also doesn't go to the schools. So do you understand what the general fund is?
Yeah.
It's a big pot where all your government money is.
You mean the fund Whitmer uses for her gynoplasty?
Oh no, it's the big giant pool of money.
Yeah.
Where all the government's money is sitting in this big tub.
Yeah, so it in theory could go to the schools.
Well, no. So what happens is that the money from the weed and the lottery goes into the big tub, and they then just give the roads and the schools the same amount of money they always did.
Right, so it's still technically going, but
not really.
Yeah, but not really. So that was one of the things when I was visiting Dallas back in September or whatever. Because of how shitty it is to drive up here, the first thing I noticed driving around that city was, one, the roads weren't full of 112 potholes every quarter of a mile, and two, the traffic lights were synced properly, so you could just drive. You wouldn't get stopped at every single fucking right if you caught the first one wrong. But for some reason, the fucking dipshit feds up here can't seem to get that right. I swear to
Yeah.
God, I take back roads to get to work because it's faster than going the main highway. Or, well, not fast. It's about the same time, but I don't have to deal with as much traffic. Right? It's maybe like 3 minutes slower. And I swear to God, yesterday I hit every single light. Taking the back roads, there's 3 that I go through to get to my job if I go the back way.
Mhm.
3 spaced at least 2 miles apart from each other, and I got caught at every single one. You know how shitty that is?
Yeah.
Especially when you're having to pass schools and shit and deal with school buses and that and all that bullshit. It's the worst. It's so bad. That's why that's one of the reasons, besides the people I worked for being fucking retarded, that I stopped driving trucks and stuff.
Mhm. So did you hear about what happened to Bill Murray?
Um, the the thing with him being an asshole and people not wanting to work with him thing.
Well, no, the fact that they stopped the movie's filming because he was an a-hole.
Yeah, I saw people talking about it on Twitter. I
You know,
didn't
this is
actually like look into it.
well, I mean, first, Bill Murray has always been an a-hole.
Yeah,
He's always been extremely unprofessional to work with.
like
Like,
it's notorious that people hate working with him, right?
yeah, like he literally figured out when the last possible moment he could show up for the new Ghostbusters was and still be in the movie, and he showed up at that last possible moment.
Which is fair.
I mean, it's not fair because if he was there earlier, he would have been in more of the movie. It would have been an entirely different movie.
Yeah, but it was a shitty movie though, wasn't it?
No, it was a good movie.
What?
Yeah, it was a good
Oh
movie.
wait, oh, they did the one after the chick one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the one after that one.
Okay,
The
my
one,
bad.
the chick one he was forced into doing because of a lawsuit threat.
Right.
Because he does technically own a percentage of Ghostbusters and IP, and if he did that, he would be viewed as a bad actor contractually, and Sony would sue him.
Which that shit's so confusing because I thought Dan Aykroyd and the director wrote that movie.
They did, but because Bill Murray was a
Or
huge star,
the original one, I should
right,
say.
right. But Bill Murray was a huge star. He also contributed some of the writing and also a lot of the improvising. Ivan Reitman, huge star, also contributed some of it.
Oh, okay.
Harold Ramis, no, Raimi was the director. Harold Ramis, also big star, contributed a lot to the writing. Basically, everybody except Ernie Hudson was a huge piece of the pre-production of the movie. So they
Oh,
all got
okay.
to cut the ownership of the IP. The biggest bulk was Dan Aykroyd's, obviously, which he used for his Skullhead vodka. By the way, have you ever drank that stuff?
Dude, that is my favorite vodka. It's so good.
Have you ever taken Skullhead vodka with Ecto Cooler from
I
High
haven't
C?
I haven't done that yet. My go-to with the crystal head vodka is fresh orange, like fresh squeezed orange juice. I'll squeeze it myself. That's my play for that.
Mm, it's pretty good. The Crystal Skull vodka is one of 2 vodka brands I can actually drink without wanting to retch.
It's the only vodka I can like drink straight or on the rocks like I do whiskey.
Yeah, the only other brand I can drink is one that my friend makes called Grand Teton vodka, where he actually gets water out of the, aquifer in the mountains and he takes organic potatoes from Idaho.
Wait, you have a friend who makes vodka?
I do.
What the fuck? Why don't I know this?
I mean, he's a friend of mine from high school. So, like, are you saying if I were to give him your information, you could hook him up with like a liquor store in Detroit for him to sell product?
No, because the liquor laws here in Michigan, you have to sell through like 3 state approved distributors.
I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some bullshit, isn't that?
It definitely is. So I'm gonna actually post in the back end chat the link so you can take a
Yeah,
look at my friend's vodka company.
yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah. Oh, sweet! He has tours of his shop too, of his place.
Oh, shit. Oh, so this is pretty new.
Yep, since 2016.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going on this tangent. D- did he start like because of the like economy? Has he been doing this for longer than that? Like, what's kind of the
He's been doing
background?
this since like 2015, 2016. He had a mom with a bunch of money, and mom was married to a guy with a bunch of money, and he pitched the business idea, and he's making liquor.
Okay. Oh, he's got some straight corn whiskey. Okay.
Yeah, and
Huckleberry
during
flavored vodka. That's cool.
the pandemic, he was making alcohol for hand wipes.
Oh, he was actually able to get around that?
Yeah, he's able to do that because he was in
Nice.
Idaho,
Oh,
a,
okay.
s- a state that's
Ooh.
actually not terrible.
Single barrel bourbon whiskey. Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
See, now you got some stuff to be interested in.
I do, man. Oh, I love actual proper potato whiskey or whiskey vodka. It's so hard to find.
Hmm. And let me see if he has a place available in Michigan. It says Michigan, it's special orders.
Okay, so yeah, I basically have to order it, and he has to do some loopholes to ship it to me. I think is my guess.
He has a distributor
Oh,
that
really?
sells to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission,
Ah, okay.
and like there's a website that explains what you got to do to
Yeah,
set that up.
you probably have to do a bunch of bullshit.
But yeah,
But
I actually want to wait for Joe to get in before we talk about some of the other interesting topics we have,
yeah, because
like Florida going to war against Mr. Mouse.
oh no, let's. I mean, we can talk about that beforehand, right? We all hate the mouse.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff built into Florida going to war with Mr. Mouse.
Well, but before we get into that, kind of lay out the background of like Disney's sovereignty and stuff that
So
and
so
the
Walt
special
Disney,
tax credits and shit they get.
yeah. So Uncle Walt had an idea. He wanted to build the city of tomorrow today. Of course, today when he had this idea was the late 1960s. And so he was pitching this idea to a whole bunch of people. And Florida at the time was a rural southern state, didn't have a whole lot going on for it except for Miami. And they said, hey, we got all this swampland in the center part of the state. Why don't you buy some of it? And he bought a lot of it for, allegedly, according to old timers I know who were around back then, he bought a whole lot of it for under market value.
Right.
He hustled some people. And for people who were politically well connected, he paid over market value. But the net value of the property was under the market value collectively. And the size and scope of Disney's footprint is you've heard there's lots of different parks in Florida, right? There's like, Universal Studios,
Yeah.
there's SeaWorld, there's Busch Gardens. You've heard there's all sorts of places like that in Florida.
Right.
If you were to take all those other parks in Florida and put them in the Disney World property, there would still be land left over.
Okay.
That's to give you an idea of how big Disney is. So they got something called the Reedy Creek Development District established by a state law, which, was helpful considering, some of the people in the state legislature at the time directly profited from it. And the Reedy Creek
Naturally.
and the Reedy Creek Development District has a lot of good political points for it, because the state of Florida doesn't really have the time and resources to enforce state laws and county regulations against the Disney Corporation and their big piece of property.
Right.
So they said, listen, why don't you just be your own government and manage those things? And also, this means that Disney doesn't have to go down to the Orange County building, file paperwork, go to county commission meetings, have to go to variance review boards and a bunch of other nonsense. They just are their own government and they vote to approve things. And Disney also gets to have certain government services. And if Disney had wanted to, they could have built their own nuclear reactor.
But they didn't because they're cucks.
No, they just didn't need to.
Oh, okay.
Technically, Disney has the rights to their own police force, but they kind of let the state and some other police agencies adjacent to Disney World come in when they actually needed law enforcement.
Gotcha.
And this worked out well and good for everybody. Now, there's a debate as to how this going away is bad for both sides, and nobody's really sure. The Orange County tax collector suspects it's going to be bad for the citizens of Orange County. But that's basically all the public services that Disney was paying for on their own are now going to have to be paid for by the county.
But wouldn't Disney as a corporation be taxed differently because of this?
What I am hearing is the actual property tax millage may go up if it transfers to Orange County. So they may have to pay more in property taxes.
Okay, gotcha.
They would pay the same state tax.
Well, and there's business tax too, right? Or wait,
Well,
no,
no,
Florida.
that's the state tax for Disney.
Okay.
The real crux of the problem is the bonds, because the Reedy Creek Development District gets bonds for things like, hey, we're going to build a road, we're going to build a bridge, when they're doing government type things.
Right. Oh, and Rune's back. I can go grab
Hey,
another
Rune.
beer. Continue.
So the Reedy Creek Development District going away, it seems like those bonds would be forced to fall back under the state of Florida's jurisdiction. However, the state of Florida's lawyers are saying, well, Disney was running the government, so Disney should be responsible for those bonds. Also, they're saying, well, since this is really part of Orange County and this was a special subsection of Orange County, this should really fall into Orange County's jurisdiction, although some of its parts are in Seminole County. So there's a lot of hullabaloo about what happens to the bonds. But that's not the real problem insofar as Disney is concerned with the elimination of the Reedy Creek Development District. What Disney does is they finance their corporate debt, their corporate bonds, based off of a formula which, if the bonds don't pay what they're supposed to pay, people get a percentage off of the park profits, which in turn leads to the parks jacking up rates on things. So if the cost to operate the parks go up because the parks no longer have their special governmental status, then we run into a problem with all of those corporate bonds might not be able to pay out what they're supposed to. So Disney may in turn end up being sued over that.
But they could just pack up Disney and move it to another state.
No, they can't.
But
Disney
people
World.
people were saying so on Twitter.
Well, yeah, those people on Twitter were morons. Disney World is the largest theme park in the world.
Yeah.
You can't move it, and it was built during a time in the 60s with a window where basically Disney was its own government. So you literally couldn't build a park that size in any state ever again. You could maybe build like 4 or 5 parks that are collectively the same size as Disney, maybe, but you're not going to make as much money.
That isn't even that's a portion of the problem. But then you add on parts and labor. They actively cannot build something like Disney World again
without, massive debt. Which again,
would be hilarious.
It would be a huge problem for the Disney.
Okay, see, we're offering to buy Marvel Comics. If we raise it up to $5, can we buy Disney too?
Oh, I already said $6.37. I'll raise it to $12.50 to buy all of Disney.
Nice.
Now let me layer another layer of frosting on top of this thing.
I'll throw another $3 in and buy CNN Plus.
I mean, that's from Warner Brothers, and the thing is, the management of Warner Brothers might take that $3.
I'm gonna tweet at them.
So I'm going to put another layer of frosting on top of this cake here. So there's another possible scenario of what's going on here is that Disney picked a fight with the state of Florida, like they did with the state of Georgia, and the state of Florida was like, well, no, we're not going to bitch out and, cower from you. We're going to stand up to you. But there is another possibility that this may not be as cut and dry and straightforward as it seems. Because there was a conference call of senior Disney management where they were all talking about the importance of advancing the message in all of their products. And how it's not enough to stop this bill in Florida. We have to make sure we do more to advance the message. We're not going to do enough until half of all of our characters are gay, lesbian, transgendered, people of color.
Midgets.
And, Bob Chapek in a hostage video like Pose was like, of course, absolutely, we need to do that. So there is a theory floating out there on the internet that Bob Chapek did all of this stupid stuff on purpose so he could make the board of directors, have a stroke and give him the authority to fire all these crazy people who are ruining Disney.
Wouldn't that be nice?
The other theory, which I'm more likely to believe, is they're a bunch of idiots who don't know what they're doing.
I mean, it could be both, right?
Now, what's going to happen if everything's going the way it's going? Bob Chapek's not going to be CEO of Disney anymore. There's going to be a new CEO of Disney, and sometime between the new CEO of Disney being appointed and when this law is supposed to go into effect, there'll be various laws.
I'll send my resume in.
Yeah, there'll be various lawsuits that'll go in to delay the law going into effect, and the state of Florida and Disney will negotiate. And Disney will say, listen, we went too far in some places. We're not saying that we were wrong, but we should have approached it in a different way. And the state of Florida will say, we reformed the Reedy Creek Development District. Disney was really getting an unfair deal that harmed other businesses in Florida and didn't give Floridians their fair share of tax money. And then everybody's going to be happy. And that's how I see the war of Florida versus Mr. Mouse going down. And the fight with Mr. Mouse will make it more likely that we have a President Ron DeSantis, even if Trump runs. Because, Trump didn't beat these people, but Ron DeSantis is going to get to beat these people.
No, but see, the problem is DeSantis, he's better served in Florida than he is at the national level. I don't think he would be as effective there, and it would be stupid to run
Wait a
him
minute,
in
wait a minute, wait a minute.
2024.
You're assuming functional government?
No, the
I mean,
government
the
isn't functional.
government
That's the problem.
the government's fairly functional in Florida.
And that's why DeSantis needs to stay there and not fuck shit up and try and run.
No, you absolutely promote the face, and then the shadow government runs things in the background. That's always how it's been.
Well, yeah,
But yeah,
that's how it's been. But it's a terrible idea, and
Now-
and the GOP should not do it because they're idiots.
Now, I'm going to briefly address the legislation at the heart of this controversy, and I'm addressing this last because
Okay. Then I have a controversy segue. Let's see if I can pull it off. But continue.
so this legislation was designed to stop some ideologies that are taught as part of the pedagogy of education.
You mean
Where
the
they
message?
It's not the message. That's the thing. This philosophy in education says that you have gay kids, right? And you need to make them
No.
feel comfortable with being gay. And if you make them feel comfortable with being gay, they're going to be more likely to learn and produce and grow as students. And these kids might also have gay parents or trans parents. And, again, you do the same thing. The problem is that this idea of, hey, you need to make your kids not think you hate them. And you need to say, hey, listen, whatever you decide to do with your life, I support you as your teacher and want you to be the best you that you can be. There are certain people who take that too far because they want to promote the message. And so the state of Florida passed various laws that are meant to target the people promoting the message. The problem is nobody knows how many people of those there are in the Florida school system.
Well, the biggest thing with that bill is technically it bars you from talking about in detail and in graphic detail heterosexual relationships.
No, it doesn't.
As well, yeah, yes, it does.
It says that you can discuss them in an age-appropriate way.
Right, and that goes for gay couples too. Like if little Johnny
Right.
has two dads, you can be like, yeah, he has two dads. You can't go
Right.
into graphic detail and say like,
Right.
yeah, they eat, they lick each other's assholes. But
Look, sometimes Johnny's two dads like to have a very special kiss.
Yeah.
It's
So
called a chocolate kiss.
so you see, the thing is that it doesn't actually stop talking about gay stuff. But they promote that idea in the media because
Well,
that's
yeah.
a better political idea.
well, yeah, because that's what the media does.
And they don't promote, why they're actually talking about Johnny having two dads and why Johnny having two dads is something the teacher has to talk about. Now, there are a couple of areas where this legislation does try to clip some wings that are a little bit more sensitive, but it's the kind of nuance of sensitivity where both sides have good points, and both sides' good points need to be honored in public policy. So if a kid's gay, right, and their parents aren't cool with their kid being gay, your teacher needs to say, listen,
Well, hold
you're
on.
not, you're going to be...
I have an issue with the phrase "the kid is gay" because this is specifically talking from kindergarten to fourth grade.
No.
You are not. No, the bill specifically talks about kindergarten to fourth grade.
Right. But what I'm saying is...
at that point, a child is not sexually developed, so a kid at that age is not gay. They're not straight. They're not anything. They have no sexual impulse. They're none of it.
I mean, there are some kids who do say, hey, I like boys more than girls.
But they're not sexually mature, so they can't be gay or straight or they can't be any of it.
Look, the ultimate problem...
The trans issue gets even deeper into the mire.
Look, the ultimate problem, when we strip away the extraneous bullshit, okay, what people are actually up in arms about is the same stupid shit they get into with healthcare and the idea of the state being between you and your doctor. They don't like the idea of the school system being between the individual and raising their children.
Right,
Yes.
because
Now-
it's state education.
But I wanted to get into the nuanced problem is if a kid, unlikely as it is feels they're gay at that age, it's inappropriate for the teacher to, try to hammer that down and say no. But at the same point in time, it's equally inappropriate for them to say, "Well, yes, let's take you to the drag book reading in the library,
Right.
so you can be front and center and start a gay club at the elementary school."
Yeah,
That's
it's
equally inappropriate.
correct.
Well, see, that's the
It's a-
thing.
it-
is I'm sorry. Carry on.
Oh,
No,
I
no.
was going to say, yeah, it's inappropriate both ways because the child is not doesn't have a sexuality because they are not sexually mature. You cannot
Well-
have a sexuality until you have developed sexually.
It's
That's how
inappropriate.
it works.
It's inappropriate both ways because the child is developing personality,
Well, that too.
ideas,
I-
beliefs, and children are more likely to strongly rebel against or do what an authority figure says.
I wanted to be Indiana Jones as a kid. I mean, I still kind of want to be Indiana Jones, but mostly I just want to whip rods. That's that's all that boils down to. But still, they're kids. They don't know what they want yet.
The thing that I think is pertinent to this particular point of conversation is the misunderstanding that people think this is new, that this is going on now. Because as I've said before, I lived central recruitment 90s era leftist propaganda. Okay, I was in middle school or high school, and they had me watch the vagina monologues.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I'm so
Rune,
sorry. The
Rune,
vagina
you're-
monologues is terrible.
Rune, you're also from the West Coast. Me and Larry are from the Midwest. That stuff didn't happen when we were kids.
Well,
Right,
I'm
no,
from
they-
the Midwest via Florida, so yeah.
Right, but that's just it though. They started in areas they felt strong,
Right.
and then they developed mechanisms to spread out once they had a base.
Right, and
Like syphilis.
the problem is that the South and the Midwest doesn't fuck with that shit. You might say they're not as open to new ideas, but that's not always a bad thing. Not being open to new ideas. If your new idea is shit and retarded, yeah, I'm not going to be open to it. I don't give a fuck.
Well, the thing is that for every negative, and we can absolutely find the negatives, there are indeed also occasions where there's a positive. Okay, it is 100% certain.
And the thing
It's
that
100% true.
the thing that
that there
bothers
are
me here
shitty
is
people out there.
the thing that
Well,
bothers me about this is
yes.
that the people on the other side aren't defending the positives of their position. It is an intellectually sound decision to defend.
See, as someone who has lived with not just extremists but with trans individuals.
I mean, you're on a show with an extremist.
No, I mean the shitty extremists.
Oh,
I,
wait, you agree with my Confederate anarchism?
I believe you have a right to have your Confederate anarchist opinion. Okay. No, what I mean is that, for instance, I lived with a trans person who believed, unironically, absolutely that helping people transition before pubation was acceptable, because from a drugs perspective, the sooner you start, the easier the transition.
Except
Right.
for bottom surgery. That
Except
literally makes that impossible.
Except for that, and of course the other real problem that, as Ayrton was saying, people at that age lack the ability to make those decisions, and people shouldn't be making them for them, especially not people who are their parents.
Well, there's worse repercussions than that. If you are a female on testosterone, you're what's fuck? Like your womb and stuff will actually atrophy over time, and you will
Mhm.
actually go into septic shock if you're not careful.
Right.
Taking testosterone as a female. Buck Angel has talked about that. He, and I will say he, had to be rushed to the hospital in Mexico because their their internal female reproductive organs literally started to atrophy and fall out, and he started to go septic. And when he got rushed to the hospital, deliriously was shouting, he talks about this, was shouting to the doctors like, "I have a vagina," and the doctors thought he was crazy until they got him out of his clothes. Like that's a
Yeah.
reality. And if you start that earlier in life, like I think Buck Angel started transitioning it at like 28 or 30, somewhere in that range, and started having
Right.
that issue. If you start doing it at 12,
Right.
that's going to happen by the time you're 22.
Right. And that's the thing. I have never had a problem with any of my friends transitioning to whatever lifestyle they prefer. Right. But I have also always been of the opinion that it should be done when they are of majority and can understand the consequences of that idea.
Right. Which I totally agree with that. They should be of a mature age and understand the risks and consequences that can happen from taking these drugs, which they don't which that side doesn't talk about. They try and shove it under the rug
Right.
at this point. And that's really the main issue. And then you try and push that on kids. You have what's the guy's name? Younger, over in Texas, whose kids were taken away because his ex-wife was trying to transition one of their sons. Jeff Younger, that's the guy's name.
I'm just saying we are also well aware, absolutely, that there are assholes in the world who want to beat a queer, and that's a real problem.
Well,
But then
I
again,
mean,
problem for anyone,
not
anywhere.
It's not 2004 anymore, Rune. That's not really a thing at this point.
Come on.
There might be
come
like
on.
7 people down in Alabama.
I mean,
that still
come
have
on.
that view,
Come
but
on.
it's not
Come
really
on.
a thing.
Come on. Are you saying that 2 white people in Chicago at 3 in the morning at -5 degrees weren't driving around to tie up Jesse Smollett and throw bleach at him at a temperature which bleach would freeze in, and then say this is MAGA country and drive off?
So I
mean, are you
just
saying
wanna
that
say-
didn't happen?
Yes. Yes. I lived in South Chicago. That did not happen.
There are so many reasons why that didn't happen. The first is it's Chicago and the temperature's in the negative, not the wind chill. The temperature's in the negative.
But
You're not going to Subway to get a sandwich.
so
Actually, I'm just gonna throw this out there because I shit you not. A friend of mine who I used to live with and I absolutely did go in very low weather in this area at about 11 o'clock at night to get a sandwich from Subway. That was also the fun night. Oh no, just get better. That was also the night that we totally met the Russian mafia.
So, but Rune, Chicago is literally on Lake Michigan, which if the if the actual temperature is -3, the wind chill is -13.
Because the wind comes right off Lake Michigan, and you're having a bad time. You are having a bad time.
And the wind is they built that city so shittily that no matter where you are in it, the wind just channels through every single street and beats your testicles off. It's terrible.
Would you say they built that city on rock and roll?
No,
they didn't. They built it on beaver.
Yeah. They built that city on accordion music. That's what they fucking did.
So I posted the link on what I want to segue us to next. Because
I'm segueing us into the main feature of this show, which is what was it, Dark Sun?
I mean, you mean the thing that Joe and I had strong opinions about, so we could
Well-
close out with the strong thing?
Yeah, I mean, you had some hot takes. Joe had some other side.
So we're gonna
lukewarm
debate
takes.
the nature of Dark Sun.
And
We're not.
I'm just gonna start out saying I know nothing about Dark Sun. I don't
Okay,
even know what
Well,
it is.
well, let's-
Ayrton, let me just paint you a picture for Dark Sun.
Is it a
it's-
video
it's-
game?
No.
It's a Dungeons
Yes.
and Dragons setting. It's a Dungeons
Okay.
and Dragons setting. Now, imagine the most heavy metal, post-apocalyptic desert heavy metal album cover that you
So
could think of.
So the Book of Eli, got it.
No. The Book of
Better.
Eli is the nice part of Dark Sun. That's like the civilized parts
No.
of Dark Sun.
I mean, that was mostly just to fuck with both of you, but
Yeah. But no, like I'm talking about like a heavy metal album
Well-
cover.
Well, because the thing is, you could Book of Eli in Dark Sun.
Yeah,
You
that wouldn't even be
absolutely could.
difficult.
Yeah.
So there's no metal. All the water's gone, and the water's gone because the halflings screwed up the planet.
No,
okay.
the water is not gone because the halflings screwed up the planet. The water
They
is gone
created the brown
because
algae.
yeah, but the Dragon Kings fucked the planet by angering the gods.
Right, but the halflings created the brown algae that started the problem.
Right, but if the Dragon Kings hadn't been gleefully saying, "Hey, you know what? Why don't we just start shit with the divines?" They could have used magic to counter the algae, and they're like, "You know what? Instead, let's just
Well, no. The halflings tried that, and it got worse.
Right, because the problem is they were using arcane magic. If you're using divine magic, it's all good. That's why you need the gods who have turned their eye from Dark Sun, because Dark Sun is a hellhole.
It is a hellhole.
But that's neither here nor there. Okay. What Dark Sun actually is it is a post-apocalyptic Dungeons and Dragons setting that is one parts Conan the Barbarian, sword and sandal, traveling the world, killing dudes and getting bitches, and one part Mad Max.
Yep.
Okay.
And where Rune and I have a bone of contention, apparently, is Rune believes that it should be hopeful in Dark Sun.
No,
And
that's not what I said. Okay. I just said that hope was not intrinsically impossible in Dark Sun. You can
okay,
have
I
positive
didn't say it was intrinsically impossible. I'm just saying, like in Mad Max, anything hopeful or good leads to more suffering.
No. Because definitionally, as someone who loves Mad Max, with the exception of the first film, and even then, Max is the force of law and order in the wasteland. So let's think about how fucked up that is.
Mm.
The good guys win in all of those movies.
Yes, but the people who are trying
and
to
humanity
build
is that interpretation that you have postulated, that you have to be a psychopath like a Morton Joe, is not only cherry-picked only from Fury Road, it is wildly inaccurate.
I mean,
Okay.
Master Blaster was also a psychopath,
No,
and he was running Bartertown.
not a psychopath. Okay, you are talking about a setting with very damaged people trying to pull
Yes.
themselves back from the brink. Okay,
Yes,
and if we're gonna mention Thunderdome, the villain in Thunderdome isn't even the main antagonist, because
That is
Auntie
correct.
Trinity is not a villain. Okay, the villain is the dude with the China doll mask, who is a straight up murder machine. Oddly enough, the same can be said of Road Warrior, because the Lord Humongous, though a savage, a barbarian, and possibly a Nazi, is not the bad guy. The bad guy is Wes, the gay murder machine on the motorcycle.
How
right.
dare
But
you?
my point was, all the people who are trying to do things to improve the world ended up fucking up the world or fucking up their process of saving the
Right,
world.
But your accusation is that, and the people who want a positive Dark Sun are the pod people, and this is inaccurate because this ignores the current ongoing debates in tabletop circles That is not what the pod people are saying.
Well, no, the pod people are saying no slavery, and it needs to be about hope and restoring the
No,
environment.
they're not.
Yes, they are.
That is not the conversation.
That's what the pod people who work for WotC are saying.
Except they're not. They're trying to glom onto a conversation they have already missed out on.
Well, I mean, they're not going to be able to do Dark Sun anyway, because all of the iconic Dark Sun art is IP owned by people who don't have contracts with Wizards.
Not true, because they already did Dark Sun in 4th ed. They have their own art. They'll just do their own art, Dark Sun. They're not going to get Gerald Brom
you mean
back.
fourth ed that didn't sell as well?
Yeah, we know it didn't sell well, but that had nothing to do with the lack of Gerald Brom's art.
No, I believe the lack of Gerald Brom's art was directly correlated to it not selling well.
No, it didn't sell
bad.
well. It didn't sell well because mechanically it was shit.
I mean, that's all the fourth ed though.
No, specifically 4th ed's interpretation of Dark Sun, because they said, you know what, everyone has psionics, and psionics is just another form of magic, which fundamentally misunderstands the primary thesis of Dark Sun, which was the idea that arcane magic, as done by wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers, is bad.
Yes.
Okay? No, the actual conversation going on has to do with Spelljammer and Dragonlance. You have to start at the base. Okay? People have been demanding from WotC for decades, give us something other than Faerun. So they gave us Curse of Strahd. And despite the fact that people want to be recidivists now and try to rewrite history, the fact of the matter is, Curse of Strahd wasn't bad. Okay? Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft is pretty not good. It's kind of double negative bad.
I mean,
but Curse of Strahd was not offensive.
If I remember, the 5th edition Curse of Strahd wasn't substantially different from any of the previous editions of Curse of Strahd. It wasn't significantly different.
That's basically it. It wasn't particularly bad. Okay? And then they said, well, we did an Eberron book. Well, people didn't want an Eberron book because Eberron has never sold well. Sorry, Steampunk D&D doesn't work.
Steampunk also hasn't sold well. Right. Period.
So then they said, but we released a Ravnica book. Now, mind you, Ravnica could work. Okay? Because people have long wanted Magic the Gathering plus D&D, and I wish Church was here. He could comment on it.
I mean, right? I second that. Quite honestly, I want rules where I can pull out a Magic the Gathering card and throw it down and say, this is the monster you're fighting.
But the Ravnica book was light on content, long on bullshit, and didn't sell well.
And also, it made Ravnica look like a less interesting version of Planescape.
Right. So then they said, "Well, what about Strixhaven?" And people said, "Ha ha! No, John Hughes' D&D doesn't work because it's never going to work."
Isn't that what we're doing with Power Rangers?
No,
yeah, but we're doing it with Power Rangers.
We're doing an anti-John Hughes Power Rangers.
Oh. Right, but we're doing Power Rangers where it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. No, the problem
by the way,
I
searched Dark Sun is gay, and this is what came.
Oh God, yes. Oh, it's extremely gay. I ain't gonna deny it.
Anyway, now we get to Spelljammer coming back.
No, first we got to get to Dragonlance coming back because people have already misunderstood this. Margaret Weiss and Tracy
Dragonlance.
They didn't.
Well, Dragonlance came back because WotC embarrassed itself by suing Weiss and Hickman.
Right, and Weiss and Hickman are going around saying, "Well, WotC didn't ask us for any of our input," and it's like, no, that's a lie. We know what they did. They bribed you to not stand in their way so they could release Dragonlance. And you said, we'll do it if we get to publish the books we want to publish.
Which they already had an agreement, which was previous to the current regime at WotC.
Right. So that's how that worked out. Okay? So then we have Spelljammer. Now, I like Spelljammer. I have the Spelljammer book.
Here's a better one.
I mean, that looks like a non-pornographic part of Dark Sun.
Yeah, no, Dark Sun needs to be more pornographic. She shouldn't have a top on. The
Okay,
thing
one
is,
sec.
the thing is, okay.
Also, he's pretty
Is
rich
that-
because he has a metal sword.
Oh yeah, the guy's super rich, but he's also a mole, so he doesn't have bits that work anyway. Okay.
So he's
here's
basically a simp because she looked pregnant.
no, he's a eunuch. He couldn't produce even if
eunuchs
he
are-
wanted to.
That's the same thing.
That's the same as a simp.
No, a simp could produce. They just are afraid to.
Well, no, they're being used by
mo-
women who will never
moles-
let them produce.
Yeah, but moles are products of a eugenics experiment. They don't have
Yes.
the choice. Okay. No, the thing is, you have to address Spelljammer. Spelljammer is fucking wacky.
There is one problem with Spelljammer that if they fix it, everybody will be happy.
What do you
But
mean?
they're
The fact
probably
that
not
the
gonna
Elven
fix it.
Armada are racists that fly trees through the air?
No, God,
We're
no,
gonna get
that's
rid of
not
the
a problem.
We're gonna get rid of the giant space hamsters.
No,
What? There's
they're
giant
actually using.
space hamsters.
There's giant
Yes.
space hamsters. They're actually using the giant space hamsters in promotional material.
Why
what's the
haven't you guys told me about this?
The problem is
Because-
the ship combat mechanics are
Right.
kind of janky. That's the
They are
problem.
janky.
But-
They're
But I
janky
want to
shit.
I want to be a giant space hamster.
No, you don't
No,
play the giant
that's not what-
space hamster.
hold
You
on.
own a giant space hamster.
Ayrton,
Well,
Ayrton, that is
that's
not who you want to be. You want to be the British imperialist hippo man with a giant blunderbuss.
No, I want to be a giant space hamster.
Umbutu gets my shotgun. No, the thing is that Spelljammer is much beloved, but didn't sell well because of the time it came out. Because it's peak 90s. That's the middle of the gaming crash that people want to pretend didn't fucking happen. Okay? Dragonlance and Plains and Dragonlance and Spelljammer are WotC acquiescing to oldie gamers. You know, we can see you buying food or whatever the hell you're doing over there.
Yeah.
It's a
Like-
seeding.
Like in 2018, I told a member of the board of directors of Wizards on the Coast, listen, you need to make these classic setting books again for 5th edition. That's what
Yeah.
people want.
Right. It took them 4 years to figure that out. Okay? Here's the thing. This is what's going on in the OSR. Okay? OSR, for people who are watching who don't know what that means old school Renaissance. It's a recidivist countercultural reaction to 5th ed, among other things. Okay?
They basically take the 1st edition rules, they try to streamline them, clean them up, make them pretty, and run on
Right.
those.
Right. So you have the old school Renaissance that just says, hey, old school's great. And you have the quote unquote bro SR who are asserting that they are the one true gaming, that know the one true way to game. They are just as offensive as the pod people trying to tell you how to play a safe game.
But
Okay.
real quick.
Right.
Aren't you occasionally a little bit elitist about your gaming?
Oh, God, yes. But I'm not going to stop other
Okay.
people from doing their thing.
Because Rune is a sane person in the gaming sphere who understands that games are all their own independent anarchist communes,
Basically.
ruled over by a tyrannical absolute dictator called the Dungeon Master.
Of course.
So you for the current one.
Often. But here's the thing.
Well,
When-
I'm just curious though. Like I know conceptually you get that premise, but isn't somebody else saying you're playing this game wrong the same as you saying, hey, this is how it should be?
So no, it's like with music. There's one thing with saying, your taste in music is shit. And then there's another thing where you say, we're going to go on a long campaign to delegitimize the entire type of music that these people are playing.
I mean, there's plenty of types of music I would love to go on campaigns to delegitimize.
Right. But that's a bad.
Look, you
That's
can tell people. No. You can tell people they have shit taste, but they are allowed to have shit taste.
Yeah, but it still shouldn't exist.
You can want it, trying to actually make it happen is a different thing.
You could. It's better to educate people on why their taste is bad and how to have good tastes.
But how this relates to
isn't that just eugenics for creativity?
Yes.
Okay. then I'm okay with it.
How this relates to Dark Sun, okay, is when WotC comes forward and says, we're going to do Dragonlance, we're going to do Spelljammer, these two things you want, right? And everyone looks at their previous backlog of work and goes, because we're very concerned about the pod people, right? The OSR people are going around going, that's not D&D, this is D&D, and they hold up Dark Sun. Now, I'll credit, Dark Sun's amazing, but there's a problem here. And that's
Dark Sun is anti-D&D, realistically.
Dark Sun isn't actually D&D, insofar as it is such an extreme form of D&D. It is so foreign to the rest of D&D that it is not representative. You get the same problem with Planescape, which is a wonderful setting and weird as shit. Or
and to a lesser extent, Shadowrun.
Before Game of Thrones existed.
And to a lesser extent, not Shadowrun, Ravenloft.
Yeah, Ravenloft. Okay, these were alternative flavors of a core concept, right? And because the OSR and the BroSR are arguing about whether or not it is the tact to take, that's where the pod people are coming in and saying, well, hey guys, we're not against Dark Sun. You can have Dark Sun about systemic oppression. And the problem is that they're actually right.
No. They're saying systemic oppression, but you can't actually demonstrate systemic oppression.
That's a
your Dark Sun has to basically be the same as your Faerun.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's a different problem disguised behind a publicly acceptable problem.
I mean, it's all part of their general flanderization of Dungeons and Dragons.
Because here's the thing. When you say, oh, well, Dark Sun's never hopeful, the free city of Tyr exists. Okay?
Well, that's not what I was... my words kind of came out that way, but what I meant to say is that achieving hope isn't really a Dark Sun campaign unless you do that one-off where you're part of the party and you're the sole survivor and you're basically half a wreck of a man, but you make it to the free city of Tyr.
The issue is that achieving hope is the campaign goal, not the adventure goal, and it's certainly not promised. You work for your good ending, and your good ending might not be a Faerun good ending, and that's where the misunderstanding comes in. Okay? I have outright said I would love to play Dark Sun, and I would love to be a gladiator, which makes me a second-class citizen, and I actually want to work the circuit, and I want to go to the free city of Tyr and earn my freedom in front of the Sorcerer Kings by killing my way to fucking victory.
I mean, that sounds fun.
But the thing is, for that to happen, Dark Sun needs to be a society where slavery permeates every aspect of Dark Sun.
And that's a conversation we can actually have.
Okay, out of morbid curiosity, because I'm still a noob to this tabletop RPG world.
Okay.
Is it possible to have two DMs? Because I would love to have you and Larry DM a game and have the two of you as God, more or less, arguing while me and Church sit there going like, so can we do this or not? And you guys are sitting there fighting. That would be fantastic.
Well, no, that wouldn't be what happens, though.
Oh, yes, it would. You two would.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. So you see, the thing is, when you're doing a multiple DM, there are certain aspects of how you would do a multiple DM. Like, for example, let's say we decided to play Demon the Fallen.
I mean, if you have to.
I'm using Demon the Fallen because I'm just thinking about it. Okay. And, there's Satan, who exists in Demon of the Fallen, and then there's basically the Great Old Ones. And one of us would run the Great Old Ones related things, and one of us would run the Satan related things.
Someone say
that's not as much fun.
Satan.
I want you guys to fight.
No. No, the
No,
the
no.
real issue, Ayrton, is right now we're just talking shop. This is literally water cooler
Yeah.
bullshit. Okay, once you're at the table and you put on the hat, once you enter into the sacred trust of I'm going to be GM, you're doing a job, and
Like
it's
let me
different.
give you another example of a multi-gym scenario. Let's say that you were on a moisture farm, on your uncle's moisture farm, and you got two droids that have come in. Well, one droid would be one DM, and another droid would be the other DM.
Beep boop.
Okay.
And of course, in this scenario, I would have to explain to you that all the beep boops are actually profanities. And I tried to explain to the previous master
that sounds
that,
about
we
right.
needed to do a memory wipe on him to stop him from cursing so much.
Beep boop, motherfucker.
Because
Okay, can we do this after Power Rangers?
look. I don't know how long Power Rangers are going to run, but if we wanted to, I have the physical copy. I've got electronic books. I would love to play some Edge of Empire. I think Edge of
come on,
Empire
though.
would appeal to this group.
Come on, though. I think a D6 Star Wars campaign would be better for this group.
I mean, there's only really one thing to do in a D6 Star Wars. You just have to track down all the books, find a character sheet. Edge of Empire is much more easy to attain.
I mean, it's not that hard to find D6 Star Wars online.
Yeah, as long as we're avoiding Saga Edition and not going to go do D20, okay?
Yeah, no, the
Let's just
D6
avoid-
system is better. The D6 system is easy. It's one of the shortest, easiest character creation systems in existence.
The only thing worth doing is being a Bacta Raider. That's the thing.
Hey, man, I played an assassination droid in D6 Star Wars.
So
Sure, but we should go steal Bacta. Make fucking bank.
So a little bit of teaser since we're talking about this. You would ask me off air, Larry, who hurt my character because of the stats I decided to use.
Yeah, your character clearly has been hurt before he became a Power Ranger.
So I know I said I wasn't going to shitpost this character build like the last one.
Here we go.
But I'm gonna shitpost this character build like I did the last one. My dad totally went out for cigarettes and never came home. Is the answer I'm going with.
Do you really want that to be your final answer?
Not necessarily, but that's the best I have.
So let me just pause for a moment. Now, Joe, let explain to Ayrton how you would handle that situation if that was your call as the dungeon master.
The scenario of my dad left for smokes and never came home?
Yeah.
I would ask Ayrton, how severe do you want your emotional trauma? How deep do you want this rabbit hole to go?
I mean, on his character sheet, he has lots of skills that show lack of trust, lack of attachment, fear of being alone.
You say that, but I just see it as a tactical advantage based on what weaponry and other things my character has.
That is true.
Right.
But you're also a survivor as a character archetype.
I totally built, just for reference, I totally built this just off of what you would do as an archer in modern day combat.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
So, since we're talking about what does it look like to DM under the hood, step one is I would accept the shit post for what it is. Okay? I would literally give him exactly what he wants. Your mother told you that dad went out for cigarettes and never came back. Okay? Hence your lifetime of mistrust, because all of these surrogate dads and stand-in would-be mentors you don't trust because they can leave you at a moment's notice. Okay? The reality would be is that he's fucking dead. Got hit by a car, gangland violence, who the fuck knows. Whatever happened, it was something awful. Right?
Mhm.
And at just the right moment, if I was the hypothetical GM of this Power Rangers game, I would have our antagonist send a monster that uses psychological attacks, right? Use your anger and unresolved issues about your father against you to create psychic trauma,
Mhm.
and then reveal the deep, dark, horrible truth that, in fact, your father has been dead this entire time through no fault of his own, and you wasted your life being angry at him.
Yeah,
So
but
now,
you're more of a sadistic fuck than Larry is, I feel like.
Oh no. What Joe just proposed is far nicer than what I have in my head.
God damn it.
So let's start with the basics. Your character ends up being a blues man, right? So your
Yeah.
dad goes out for smokes. So this means the blues devil is on the table.
God damn it.
So that's one immediate potential situation here. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Son of a bitch. All right. I'm gonna rethink about this before when we actually start the game.
Because yes, one time I played in a Ravenloft campaign, and someone said, "Oh, well, if you go to this crossroads at midnight, you can talk to this person, and he can help you." No, what? No, I'm not meeting the devil at the crossroads. What are you? What are you retarded?
I mean, my counter response to that would be, how do you know about the blues devil?
Oh, because my character was an occultist.
Right, but that doesn't mean that it's true or correct, or that you have the correct information.
I mean, I could answer it from a real world standpoint.
No. I'm saying in this hypothetical scenario of a GM says, "Hey, you can go talk to this guy at the crossroads," and you're like, "No," and it's like, "Why?" It's like, "Because I'm not gonna go meet the devil." It's like, that's kind of metagame information. You don't know.
See,
it's
no,
the
but
devil.
but it's not metagame information because that's actually common folklore in the blue scene. Is you don't know.
No. That's the thing. In reality, here it's common knowledge. In a D&D setting or a Shadowrun setting, that might not be the case.
This was Ravenloft, where everybody knew about the demons that were everywhere, and all the unclean non-humans.
It could just as readily be a ghost.
But in the game we're playing, it's technically our reality
in Power Rangers, that absolutely would be a thing.
Okay.
Right. But in Power Rangers, the Blues Devil could just be one of the alien monsters who has been represented.
What I'm getting at is that in Larry's example, set in Ravenloft, which is a fantasy setting, while it is entirely plausible and even likely that it's like the devil or a demon or something else.
The devil at the crossroads actually is a medieval trope as well.
Yeah, it is also
which
just
goes back
as likely.
to Hecate.
But the thing is, it is also just as likely that it is something else that corresponds, and your character doesn't know.
But also the counterexample you had was a ghost, and ghosts are also horrifying in Dungeons and Dragons.
Can be,
especially if you're playing in 2nd edition.
Can be. One of the major problems we have in our media, such as D&D, is popular ideas that are bad, that have overwritten classic ideas that are not necessarily better, but at least are more nuanced. Okay, the idea of the killer ghost. There's a ghost in a building, and it'll fucking kill you, is retarded.
Oh no, the ghost in D&D takes away years off your life.
It can, but that's not the only form of ghost. Spectre, haunt, apparition, they're all ghosts.
A spook. Oh wait,
there isn't actually a spook, but there could be, and that's just the CIA.
Nice spook, nerd.
No, the thing is that technically, if you're using older classic horror tropes, especially for a Ravenloft, the ghost might not actually mean you harm.
Yeah.
You could actually lay the ghost through conversation.
The ghost may, in fact, have valuable
information.
It could be Hamlet's father.
Right.
Okay. Although Hamlet's father wasn't necessarily a good ghost, if we want to get down to brass tacks.
fair.
Well, we don't know
But, I mean,
Hamlet's father was a bad guy either.
he was.
No,
he was
he
an
just
amusing
wanted
ghost.
he just wanted revenge for the person who murdered him.
I mean, you can't fault anyone in that society. That is the nature of the society.
It is,
And
we
remember,
do live in a society.
it's called the Unhappy Dane. It's
Yeah.
based on a Scandinavian story, so it's not just a ghost who wants vengeance for murder. It's a ghost who wants vengeance for hidden murder, which was a major crime in the Scandinavian world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, looking at some of the stats I made, I might stick with a story just out of morbid curiosity to see what you do and see if I can outsmart you.
Ah, excellent.
Oh,
Excellent.
Ayrton, you've leveled up.
Yes, I pulled up my character sheet to see where I had stats.
That's literally the thing. But the first step in tabletop is always like you show up, you want to play, and you wait for the GM to tell you what to do.
And also,
right?
the GM says to you, are you really sure you want to do this?
Right.
And he implies, here's some of the bad things that exist in the scheme of a character you've made, and you level up as a gamer, like you say, okay.
Yeah, the next step of being a gamer is not just taking agency, making your own decisions, whether they're good or bad. And in fact, bad ones can often be fun.
I mean, the entire last game, every single decision I made was bad.
But also, at a certain point, you do in fact start to plan. It's like, I'm going to make stupid decisions just to aggravate the ST. And this is why there's a disconnect when people are like, well, you shouldn't have player versus GM storylines in gaming. It's like, no, it's always a little bit DM versus player. Just a little bit.
To be honest, as the outsider coming into this, the D&D tabletop thing is always is portrayed in in the cultural ethos is like the ultimate nerdy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
This is actually fun as shit.
It is.
I'm still not going to do like IRL LARPing. That's a little too far.
No, it's not required.
Yeah,
it's an experience, but it's not required.
So, me and a buddy of mine, we were riding our motorcycles. We were out for the day, right? We were riding around. We pulled into this like state park just to kind of pull off, look at a map, see where we wanted to go next. We were kind of hungry. We're looking for a restaurant, whatever, that kind of stuff. We pull
as you do.
Yeah. So we pull into this state park that's kind of near my house. I'm familiar with. I go hiking there all the time. And there's a tent out in a field. So I ride my bike out over to see. I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like a weird canopy tent thing. So I ride over there. There's nobody over there. It's just kind of like hanging out in a field. I was like, okay, that's weird. So I ride back to the road, and the road kind of curves around pretty sharp, and there's a bunch of woods. Then there's another field, and as we come around the curve, there's like 20 people sitting there doing like the role playing thing, like full costumes, like they're throwing like little bags at each other, like that are the magic attacks or whatever.
That's the shitty stuff.
But
hold up. Did
no.
anybody have a weapon that was made out of foam?
Yeah,
like a giant foam sword.
They all had weapons made out of foam.
So it's offer LARP people.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the wrong kind of LARP.
Offer LARP is an entire sub-tribe of LARPers.
So we sat there for 20 minutes on our bikes just watching these people do just the stupidest shit, and then I stole one of their bags of magic, and it's still in one of my saddlebags to this day. This was like four and a half, 5 years ago.
Now the Offer LARP people were a breakaway faction from SCA.
Okay.
And then they started to incorporate aspects of more traditional role-playing games in later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's not the good LARP.
It was so cringy. But it was wonderful.
Like,
I
for
loved
example, there are Star Trek LARPers out there
Ow.
in TV land.
Oh no.
They'll LARP being on a bridge crew of a Starfleet vessel, and they'll LARP going onto the planet doing their missions. Pew pew.
I mean,
I have never seen any of those people in the world organically.
I'm
I'm kind of afraid to.
I don't know if I want to admit this, but I would consider LARPing in like a Firefly setting. I have a long brown coat.
I mean, at some point in time, we could play the Firefly role-playing game.
No. I've looked at both of them. They're both shit.
I mean, the mechanics are terrible. I mean, the setting is... There's interesting things in the setting that Joss Whedon didn't actually get to do anything with.
They are ostensibly not built to be played. They are not games. They are
They're built
replication
to
of your
simulate the
favorite...
characters.
No, not even simulate the characters. Simulate your favorite episode.
I mean, yeah. You can, if you're smart enough, you could do something else. But most people aren't smart enough to run it.
It's my major criticism of Marvel heroic role-playing. Is
by the way, did you get your copy of 616?
I'm sorry?
The newest Marvel role-playing
What did you
game?
call me?
I have not. I heard there was a thing, but I haven't seen it yet.
It is... I've skimmed through a copy. It's not good.
People were being pretty critical.
They take Face Rip. They take elements of Marvel Heroic. They take elements of Mutants and Masterminds. They basically take all those things and mash them together.
Before you go on this tangent, I want to know more about the Firefly RPG. Is it shiny?
No.
The problem is, much as Rune says, all the stuff that they have statted out is to redo episodes.
Okay.
Now, I can make stuff in that system to not redo episodes, or I could pull out GURPS and do all sorts of interesting things without using their book.
I mean, you could also just not play GURPS and make good life decisions.
I mean, I could also play champion/hero system and again do the same thing.
Fuck is a GURP?
So GURPS is generic universal role-playing system.
Okay.
And GURPS has made role-playing games for literally everything.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing is Rune would hate this, and I feel like Church would also hate this. So I think we have to do it.
I mean, again, I would... if we were going to do something like Firefly, I would do champions instead, because I got the software to just make your characters.
I would certainly be more interested in looking into champions than the Firefly or GURPS.
Either way, as long as Church and Rune are having a bad time, I'm okay with it.
Or, we could always do that D20 space fantasy setting.
Look,
and do the same thing with that.
All right,
we could
fine.
just play Rogue Trader, for fuck's sake.
Let me rephrase it. As long as we're in space and I get a big iron on my hip, I'm cool.
I mean, that's definitely Rogue Trader.
Okay.
Yeah, just play Rogue Trader. I mean, I'm down with that.
I mean,
that's not as satisfying because you're down with it, but
I mean, at that point, you might as well just play Death Watch, because I think you would enjoy that.
I've never actually played any of the
I'll be right back.
RPGs for Warhammer, so that would be a learning experience for me. But the champion system, I actually have the software for making characters, which makes making characters easier because there's a lot of math.
Yeah.
Not like Palladium level math. But math.
I mean, nobody is Palladium level math.
And you see, this is what happens when Church doesn't show up. We run way deep into the role-playing games.
The thing about GURPS, if you're there, Ayrton, is the best description of it that I ever heard, and I have since reused, is GURPS is Linux for RPGs.
I mean, that's an extremely fair description.
Yeah. If you are a person who is into building everything yourself, although it has become more user friendly, then GURPS is for you. But if you are a Windows user, if you just want it to do one thing and do it right, don't GURPS. For the love of God.
I mean, we could also do Traveler for a space game.
Now, Traveler, I've actually wanted to do for a while.
It
I
has
mean-
to be space. It has to be space western, though. I want a
No.
big iron on my head.
I mean, Traveler is totally a space western.
So if we do Traveler at some point in time, we'd have to get the old-fashioned version of Traveler if I could find a copy of that.
Oh no, I've got most of Old Traveler in PDF.
So the old-fashioned version of Traveler, Ayrton, you could die in character creation.
It's true.
It's very difficult, but you could die in character creation.
Yeah, but my dumbass is gonna do it.
You
Well,
have to make 3 rolls in succession the wrong way,
Yeah, I would do that.
and then your character would be dead. So let me give you an idea. Let's say you want to play a magical space wizard in Traveler. Technically, there's not a magical space wizard in Traveler, but let's just say that was your goal, that was your desire,
Okay.
and you'd be all fine until that explosion in the mine blew off your legs, and you had to get put on with tank treads instead of legs.
I mean, hey, my belter completely cut off his legs with my phase drill. It was the only way to save his life.
Yeah. So that's the thing. In Traveler, it's a life path system character creation game, and I actually think that might be fun to do next. Although,
Alright.
other than Cyberpunk, which doing Cyberpunk would be fun, I don't know of a user-friendly life path role-playing game.
I mean, that's Rogue Trader in a nutshell.
You do character creation through life paths in Rogue Trader?
Yep.
Isn't
look at that.
Cyberpunk like kind of gay now?
Well, no. There's
Not if you're doing the Red Book.
The Red Book's not good.
All right.
The Red Book is better than modern.
Well, no, the Red Book's modern.
No, we're talking about the actual Red Book, not anything based off of the recent video game.
Well, no, the Red Book is based off the recent video game.
Not the Red Book I've got.
It is. Literally, all the mechanics are built to line up with the video game.
You are talking about a different Red Book.
Cyberpunk Red. It was designed to line up with the video game, per Mike Poundsmith.
All right.
I mean, I would rather do straight 2020. And if we did straight 2020, we could segue into doing the Witcher role-playing game. There is one downside to
I
the
would
Witcher
not
role-playing game.
play the Witcher role-playing game.
So, Rune, what would you say the one downside is to the Witcher role-playing game, unless you've looked at the book and already know?
I mean, it's the same game system as being used in the most recent Warhammer fantasy RPG, and that thing is so freaking dense as to be hard to understand.
No, it's the same system as Cyberpunk.
You have seen Warhammer 4th Ed, right?
I've not seen the most recent Warhammer. Is 4th Ed the most recent one?
Yeah. Same
Well,
company.
it's literally the same system as Cyberpunk.
Right. So it's a D6 system.
No, it's a D10 system.
I'm gonna have to crack it again. I haven't looked at it recently.
Yeah, it's the interlock system. The problem with the Witcher role-playing game is there's no reason to not be a Witcher. And a party of Witchers is kind of stupid. Because Witchers aren't supposed to play well with each other. the book tells you, oh, you can have a party of all these different kind of things. Just most of them don't really have anything to do.
Yeah.
Now, if we were doing Champions, I could run Champions as a superhero game for you guys, a sci-fi game, a normal game.
But no, you asked earlier. When you do Rogue Trader, Rogue Trader has a life path, and you either start with your goal career, or you start with your home world, depending on which way you want to do it. And then as you progress, you work out where you and your fellow party members have crossover, right? And then you collaborate to be like, how did I meet you? How did we form the crew? Because all the players are either if you're not the captain, you're the various command staff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 40k style TNG.
That'd be something else fun to run. The Star Trek game.
No. Not unless we're talking about digging up the old FOSSA game.
Well, I mean, that game has the cooler stuff in it.
The Morphidius Star Trek RPG is a shit show.
See, I've never actually played it.
It's a 2D20 system where the better you are at what you do, the harder it is to do it, so you actually suck at everything.
Oof.
Like, if you make a specialist and you are the best engineer in Starfleet, you are magically the worst at your fucking job.
What?
Because it's a system that they want you to roll under target, but your target is altered by your statistical variances. It's not fixed amount. So, because if it was just if you have a high stat and you have to roll under your stat, that makes sense, right? Like that would be fine.
So, like in World of Darkness, where it was like you had to get at least an 8 or whatever in our last game.
Yeah,
like you would have to roll like a 5 every time.
All right. If we're gonna convert this to World of Darkness, it's not that if your pool gives you a lot of dice, right? Mm-hmm. What they want you to do to make that game challenging is give you higher difficulty thresholds. So you'd still have to
need to get
8
successes out of your 10 dice.
Yeah, you would need more successes, despite being better at the job.
Gotcha. Okay.
Everybody else only needs 1 success, but because you're an expert, you need 8.
So I have the worst luck, so I would just die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's the point?
I'd be a specialized red shirt.
Yeah, because everyone in that game's a red shirt. It's terrible. Okay. But and here's the thing. I know that Morphidius is just a publisher, but this is every role-playing game they publish. They publish garbage.
Yeah, their Conan game, I've heard similar problems.
And they published V5 Masquerade. And that's the thing. You have to be bad to lose a licensed publishing gig.
And again, it's the Hunger Dice that killed V5 Vampire for me.
Well, because Hunger Dice are the same thing. You're blessed with suck.
Well, no. Did I tell you everybody I know who's ever played that game has had this exact problem? Hunger Dice always roll crit 1 or crit 10.
Right.
80% of the time, crit 1, crit 10.
Yeah.
On the dice that says that if you critically succeed in your goal to find a person, congratulations, you found him and you've now drained him of all of his blood.
Right, because you're an idiot.
And because if you critically fail...
Because your beast was, quote, helping you.
It was helping you to eat him.
Right.
What? How's that helping me at all?
Well, this is because they don't understand how failure works. See, I had this problem in a troop game I was in of just regular Dark Ages. My character was a diplomat. I was the ambassador for another city, right? and I was being given shit jobs by my boss. And I was like, look, GM, you're fucking me over. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, you're giving me jobs I cannot possibly attain, which means I will only hurt my boss, right? And while you're at it, you're penalizing me for not attaining the job. The consequences for failure far exceed you failed. And of course, the GM did not see it that way because that GM fucking sucked.
So, what other game ideas or that we've workshopped here? Like Ayrton, what else would you like to play?
I don't know.
Because we talked about some Space Firefly stuff.
You know, it could be kind of fun to do like just a classic, like knights and dwarves and shit D&D game, because I've never done that.
Just don't do fucking Faerun.
Oh God, no! I would do a homebrew world like a civilized person.
Again, I'm still so new to all of this. It would be kind of fun, you know, to whack goblins with swords and shit. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Faerun is the official D&D setting, at least in modern D&D.
Didn't used to be.
Can we do like classic D&D based on the tone of your voice?
I mean yes.
There's, however, Greyhawk, which is what is popularly considered, and I would say mostly correct, considered the original setting. There's also the known world, which some people argue was the original setting.
What is the actual original setting?
Whatever your homebrew is.
Whatever your homebrew is.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Homebrew is essentially like microbrew. It is the alcohol you make for yourself.
So, like, for example, if we do this hypothetical D&D-esque setting, this would be on a world, and it was a world I would make. All the dwarves want to evade taxes, especially dwarvish taxes.
All right.
I already don't like this. Carry on.
I already do.
Hating taxes is things that dwarves like beer, and like mining, and like hating the elves.
So me and
I mean, admittedly, hating elves is the right way to do.
So me and Church would both be dwarves.
I mean, Church already looks like a dwarf. Let's. I mean, we've seen his beard. Church already looks like a dwarf. And this would be, I would use certain premises from D&D, like when you're in your starting level area, the highest person you're going to encounter is a level 3 person. And when you come back into your area as a level 9 character, people are going to be kind of scared because you're now scary. You've done some things. You've seen some things, and you're no longer the punk-ass person that the old lady hired to kill rats in her basement.
Okay. So is RuneScape basically D&D on the computer in 2006?
RuneScape is D&D but shitty.
Yeah, on the computer in 2006.
Also,
it has an RPG.
Yeah, it has an RPG with worse rules than D20.
All right. I mean, you said kill rats, and it flashed me back to starting
killing rats
RuneScape.
So killing rats is a cliche level 1 starting job that you do. Another cliche job is you kill the goblins. You kill the kobolds.
Look,
go to kill the goblins or the kobolds, but then you accidentally encounter skeletons.
Look, what we need to do sometime is we need to grab Ayrton, and we need to get Ayrton to sit down and do some weeb shit, and we gotta watch Record of Lodoss War. Just the first 3 episodes.
Do I have to?
You want to understand basic D&D? That is the go-to.
I mean, I've watched Goblin Slayer and I've watched Vinland Saga. I don't know if I can get much more weeb than that.
I mean, those are both strong.
Those are strong. Record of Lodoss War is what, 30 years old?
Yeah, Records of Lodoss War is classic weeb stuff.
Yeah, but it's not classic weeb like weeb. It's classic weeb in the sense of it's classic D&D.
I swear
a
to God, if I'm at work and the phrase "usagoi" slips out of my mouth,
no
talking to somebody,
No, it's not that kind
I'm
of-
gonna
it's not
punch
that kind
both
of-
of you in the dick.
dude. It's
not that
based
kind
on.
of
It's literally based on somebody's D&D 2 campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Japanese people who made the anime made an anime of their D&D campaign. They were like
Right.
one of the first people to successfully do that.
And it in fact proves why Vox Machina is shit.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, doing like a standard D&D type adventure. Although I might want to do it with 13th Age instead of
13th Age is such crap. I've played it. It's fun. It is crap.
I mean, it has the icon thing is a neat mechanic. It's neat.
It's neat, he says.
It is. That there's 13 influential figures in the world, and your character has a connection to them and somehow. That connection influences the plot of the game. That's neat.
Let's see.
Have you ever played Godbound?
Sorry, cringe artwork for that.
Maybe. Have you ever played Godbound, Rune?
No. Motherfucker.
That is another D&D. That would be more for like a high fantasy. We could reskin that into a high fantasy type game.
Here goes Joe playing XCOM. Can't hit shit.
But I mean, also, yeah, we could play a game where we have mechs. Even though
you mean Lancer?
Most of the
Mechs are
RPGs for having mechs are kind of poor.
I don't know. I'm seeing furry shit now. I don't know if I like this.
What?
I googled D&D 13th Age and furry
no,
shit popped up.
No. I said you don't want to do that.
Yeah, but naturally I'm going to. Come on.
Ayrton, have I ever told you don't do something and it wasn't, and it was not the correct answer to not do it?
I mean, that's like a double negative. So, yeah, you're usually right not to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna listen.
I mean, yeah.
All right.
I think we've kept the fire going until Church gets back long enough.
Yeah, I don't think Church is coming back.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to show up. This
Me
was mostly just to
Church is dead.
Just to keep content consistent on the channel. But any last words, fellas?
I'm looking forward to the after show where we talk some more.
Rune?
I mean,
anything to shill?
no, I got nothing to shill at this time. But I will say this: when I'm not wrestling with taking care of my mother and abject depression and wanting to be dead, I am working on an accessory for Morkborg, and that is getting closer to a level where it's going to be like, okay, we've got all the text, now I got to do all the visual arts bit.
Hell yeah!
And so at some point in the near future, maybe game accessory for popular indie game.
Well, where can people keep up with you to get updates on that?
I'm not doing any of that shit yet.
All right. Fine.
I'm not that good.
I was trying to be a professional host since Church isn't here.
No, I'm saying I'm not a professional. I don't know how to advertise shit. Look, as far as I know, this shit post where I was playing XCOM while we were rambling was clearly brought to us by Raid Shadow Legends and Raycons.
No, it was brought to us by Blue Coal. How dare you?
Oh, I mean, okay, Lava Soap.
No. Oh, that's right. That was before the two of you. Never mind. All right. I'll explain it to you guys later. All right.
Tell us a story, Uncle Ayrton.
Go check us out on Twitch on twitch.tv on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yep, that's the plan.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be fun. And anybody who misses it's gonna have weeks of content to consume.
In theory, I might have figured out the preview for this game, getting the audio to work so we can upload it to this channel.
That would be very good.
I'm trying.
I'm certainly interested in more musical accompaniment. I even dare say that might be our selling point.
Oh,
is to have
don't do that to me.
I'm just saying I can't actually think of a real play online tabletop that has a stated musical accompaniment.
That is an advantage we have, is that we can have our own music.
It is, but you know how annoying that was to write that arrangement. By the way, anybody who catches this on the replay, go over to my channel, Ayrton McCartney, if you want to hear the intro music to our game coming up. It should be the first video because I post once every 9 months.
Such regularity. Such
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very regular. But anyways, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.